Well, the German government has condemned Moscow's decision to shut down the Russian operations of this channel, Deutsche Welle. Germany's foreign ministry said the decision would put a renewed strain on already tense German-Russian relations. Authorities have closed down DW's office in Moscow, revoking accreditations for all our journalists there, and has banned DW broadcasts in Russia as of today. It's being seen as retaliation after German media regulators banned the German-language programming of Russian state broadcaster RT the day before because it doesn't have a broadcasting licence for Germany.
Deutsche Welle's Moscow office has to close, by order of the Russian government. The decision came after Germany's media regulators banned German-language programming of Russia's state media broadcaster RT for operating without a German broadcasting licence. DW's Director General, Peter Limburg, called the Russian government's decision a disappointment and a total overreaction.
This is another sign that Russia is not interested in, and the Russian government is not interested in press freedom and freedom of opinion. But I can only say, even if we have to leave the country, we will intensify reporting on the country. So I think this must be also clear to the Russian side that we will not just ignore what's happening in Russia, we will report, and we will do more and more.
For the team at DW's Moscow studio, losing their press accreditation in Russia takes a more personal toll.
Yeah, that affects correspondents, producers, cameramen, editors, and so on. According to Russian law, they are now no longer allowed to work for Deutsche Welle. And let me say, on a personal note, for me personally and for all people who support our coverage from Russia, this is a big shock. I've been the bureau chief and correspondent for Deutsche Welle here in Moscow for 7 years, and like all my colleagues, I have loved reporting from Russia even more. We all were, are and will stay passionate fans of Russia. By Russia, I don't necessarily mean Russian politics, but the people of this great country.
For now, DW is weighing its options and considering possible legal avenues.
An editorial note here. We'd like to stress that the statement from our Moscow bureau chief, Yuri Resheto, in that report was recorded yesterday, February 3rd, prior to that ban taking effect. DW broadcasts not only news about Russia in English, but also has a huge Russian language department. The editor of DW's Russia service, Irina Filatova, joins me now from Bonn. Irina, thanks for joining us. Was this ban by Russian authorities to be expected?
Well, it came as a huge shock for us, I have to say. Clearly, we expected some retaliatory measures from the Russian government after RT was banned in Germany, but we never expected that these measures will be so hard. We never expected that we will have to shut down our office in Moscow. We never expected that all our colleagues there, it's about 20 employees, will lose their accreditations. So the answer is yes, the measures were expected, and no, it was not expected that they would be so hard.
Right. Now, the state of press freedom has become increasingly difficult in Russia, not only for DW. What can you tell us about press freedom there?
The state of press freedom has drastically deteriorated over the last few years. In fact, there's been a massive clampdown by the Russian authorities on independent media. Many of them have been labeled foreign agents, meaning that they are now they're subject to a bigger extra government scrutiny and have to report to the Russian authorities on all their financial transactions. Some of them had to relocate their staff to other countries in order not to be abide by these measures. And if we look at this statement by the foreign ministry from yesterday, the Russian authorities might also consider putting Deutsche Welle on this list of foreign agents.
What do you think will happen? I mean, especially in regard to our colleagues there. What are you hearing?
Well, there are many open questions now. First of all, legal questions, technical questions. What we know for sure that our office in Moscow is not allowed to be operating anymore since 9 a.m. local time today. Our colleagues have to return their press accreditation cards to the foreign ministry till 16 p.m. till 4 p.m. Local time today. That means that they will not be legally allowed to work as journalists in Russia anymore, anywhere in Russia. Whether whether this ban will be lifted or when it will be lifted, it also remains unclear. Some journalist associations in Germany have already demanded that the German government raises up this question, brings it up, and Olaf Scholz brings it up during his meeting with Vladimir Putin, which is supposed to take place in the next few days. So whether it will happen and whether this meeting at all will bear any fruit, it remains open.
Irina, thank you very much for bringing us up to speed. DW's Irina Filatova in Bonn. Russia's ban of DW comes as German Chancellor Olaf Scholz prepares a trip to Moscow for talks about the crisis in Ukraine. Scholz called the build-up of Russian troops on Ukraine's border very serious and said any invasion would come with consequences. The German Chancellor has been under pressure from other NATO members to take a harder line on Russia. Now, let's get more now from our chief political correspondent, Melinda Crane. Melinda, so another issue, that of course being the banning of this channel, has been added to Chancellor Scholz's agenda. What has the government been saying so far?
Germany's Federal Commissioner for Culture and Media, Claudia Roth, criticized the decision as, quote-unquote, wholly unacceptable and said Russia had drawn false equivalence between RT Germany and DW, basing her argument on responsibility for content. She said, quote, DW is an independent organization. This means that unlike RT Russia Today, the German state does not exert any influence on programming. And Germany's foreign ministry said Moscow's measures had no basis whatsoever. A spokesman also firmly rejected the comparison between Deutsche Welle and the broadcaster RT. And in fact, Foreign Minister Annalena Baerbock already conveyed that message to her Russian counterpart, Sergei Lavrov, when she visited in January. And she pointed out that because of the central role that state media had played under the Nazi regime, no broadcaster that is an official arm of the state can obtain a license under German media law.
Well, German-Russian relations are, of course, already pretty tense, and the Ukraine standoff has put Chancellor Scholz in a difficult position with Germany's allies, hasn't it?
Absolutely. Tensions have been building ever since the annexation of Crimea, and starting with a major cyber attack on the Bundestag in 2015 that was proven to have originated with Russian hackers, then followed by cyber attacks on leading German politicians, disinformation in the run-up to last year's elections. And in 2019, Russian security services coordinated the murder of a Chechen national in broad daylight in a Berlin park. And finally, it was Germany, where Russian opposition leader Alexei Navalny was treated after his poisoning in 2020. When he returned to Russia, he was promptly arrested for having missed a parole meeting he couldn't possibly have attended while in hospital. And that, too, felt like a slap in the face. Meanwhile, Germany has, however, maintained close commercial ties with Russia, including construction of a new gas pipeline that will take gas from Russia directly into northern Germany. The Allies have been pressuring the new government to put that project on the table as part of a potential tough package of sanctions if Russia does, in fact, move forward with aggression against Ukraine. Chancellor Scholz had been perceived to be sitting on the fence about this. Foreign Minister Baerbock has been clearer, saying it must be part of the package of sanctions. But we are now seeing some movement on the Chancellor's part. He said there will be a high price to pay if there's aggression, and he is traveling to Washington on Monday to talk to President Biden before he goes to Moscow.
Right, Melinda, thank you. DW's chief political correspondent, Melinda Crane.